Welcome to the webinar sponsored by the Vesta Group and Ready North. This is, as you can read, it's about establishing a full funnel marketing approach alongside ERP and why it's important to connect the two, and a little bit about the integration between the two. So if that's what you intended, you are in the right place. I'm Chris Johnson. I'm the Director of Strategy for the Vesta Group. I'm going to talk about the ERP space. And I'll cover, we're going to use the Vesta Group as a case study. So I'll talk a little bit more about the Vesta Group and who we are as a part of that. But Ashley Sams is on with us, and I'm going to let her introduce herself from Ready North.
Perfect. Yep. Thanks, Chris. I'm Ashley Sams. I am the Director of Marketing for Ready North, which is a marketing agency that delivers digital marketing solutions exclusively on HubSpot. And we do that for our clients, which are mostly based in the manufacturing and professional services industries. We were founded in 2005 as PR 2020. So if anyone's familiar with that name, that is us now. We are Ready North. But yeah, we'll be talking more about like the full funnel marketing approach and how you can make sure marketing campaigns are fueling your ERP setup.
All right. Well, thanks. So today we're going to cover like what is the approach, what does the process look like, why would you do it? So there's a very healthy set of benefits. How do you create a marketing plan between the systems? So Ashley is going to go deep into that, and then what does it look like in action? So we're going to cover the Vesta Group and some of our clients as case studies, just to give you an idea about what does it look like, how are we realizing the benefits, and how can you use that in your system? So at a high level, marketing, CRM, ERP has a process that looks like this, where we use or we start with a marketing campaign. So this is going to be the top of the funnel, your sales funnel, where we have a lot of suspects. We're reaching out to suspects via email, social media, our website. So people finding us via Google searches, that kind of thing. So all of that is campaign oriented and tracked in a tool like HubSpot. At some point, people have shown enough interest by opening emails or filling out forms or downloading white papers. They've basically created a digital body language. And once they've identified themselves as being interested in what you're doing, it creates a marketing qualified lead, an MQL. From that point, we know that there's an interest online, but we kind of need to reach out to the person and speak to them directly and figure out, is this, are you really interested? Kicking tires? What's the status of your interest? The timing? And at some point, this becomes a sales qualified lead. So maybe an account rep reaches out directly and says, finds out more about the person that's shown an interest, and it becomes a sales qualified lead. And from there, as we start to work through the sales funnel, so I know that I've got a good lead. I want to find out more information about them. Are they a good fit? I go through my qualification criteria. Do they have the budget? Am I talking to the right person? Do they have a real need that I'm going to be able to solve? Is the timing right? So we're going to basically be able to build out an opportunity for the prospect. And then ideally at some point that opportunity turns into an order. So having this entire cycle connected together and being able to measure each step is super important. And we've realized a ton of benefit. The main thing that you're going to get out of it is basically taking more control of your orders. So I'm going to kind of focus on that more later as we get into the ERP part. But the benefit is that if I can track the conversion rate from one step to the next, from having somebody identify themselves to becoming a marketing qualified lead, to converting to a sales qualified lead, to becoming an opportunity and then taking orders, if I can measure all those, well, that means I can track the impact as I move from step to step. And it also helps me understand at the end, if I need an order or I need 10 orders, well, I need to do the math backwards to figure out how many marketing touches do I need to put out there in order to generate orders. So tracking that, super important. It allows me to take control and figure out, from step to step, where do I need to focus efforts to improve? So maybe my conversion rate between an MQL to an SQL is not very high. Well, instead of just throwing more marketing at an entire process, well, now I know specifically where to go target to improve my process to increase incoming demand. And then knowing all that, it gives me a good forecast. So now I've got more control over my resource utilization. And we'll get into quite a bit more of that as we get further into the discussion. So benefits, some of the things you're going to see out of this is that this process is going to bring more decision-ready customers. So people that have done the research and they're really near the end of their decision by the time they talk to you the first time. It makes your sales cycle, that MQL, SQL opportunity cycle, go quicker. You can gain control over your orders and the types of orders. That's even more important because that's going to impact your resource utilization down the line. It helps you improve marketing effectiveness, meaning I am able to go direct resources because if I can look at my utilization, my resource utilization, and know that I need to fill a gap and I use marketing to point to that gap, well, now I know specifically the niche I need to touch, the audience I need to touch, the pain points I need to touch in order to get the kind of customers that I want, and I can provide better guidance to marketing. So that improves the conversion rates from step to step. And of course, once I'm bringing in specified orders for specific types of resources, well, it increases the utilization. So if I can look at a few months and say I'm have a low utilization plan for this group of resources, whether they're people or they're machines or whatever they are, well, now I can point marketing to market to products that use those resources, which means I increase the utilization of those resources. And of course, that's going to lower my cost. So more orders, more revenue, lower cost, improves your margin. So that's in the whole cycle. As we go through this, it's going to kind of flesh itself out. You'll get a sense about where all these benefits, how they're derived, and kind of makes a meaning for you. And with that, Ashley, I think you're picking up from here.
Yep, thanks. All right, so Chris has talked a little bit about kind of the why and the benefits of an integration between your ERP and CRM. We haven't necessarily hit on the how just yet. So, like, how can you use these two systems to really transform your marketing strategy, get maximum value out of both your CRM and your ERP? That's what I wanted to highlight here. So, new research, and this is research that's post the start of the pandemic, so fairly relevant. The first one points out that studies show that by the time a B2B buyer reaches out to a salesperson for more information, they are already 80% of the way through the sales cycle. And when I saw this number, I was floored. 80%, like that, they're basically saying like yes or no, like, can you take me on as a customer or not at that point? So I think that's really important in showing that, like, how are they doing this? They're becoming their own subject matter experts and they're selling themselves. They're doing this because they have the internet available to them, so they can go to company and product websites. They can look at reviews, videos, comparison articles, etc., to get themselves through that process. And then to further prove that point, new research from McKinsey has also found that around 75% of B2B decision makers prefer remote human interactions and self-service. So your online chats, your video conferencing over face-to-face interactions. And I wanted to point out too that these are just two stats. There are a lot more along these lines, but I didn't want to bombard you here. But the point is that they're showing a prioritization of your online presence. Buyers want a seller-free experience. So you have to think about, from a company perspective, how are your prospects perceiving you online? How are they learning about your products and services? And where are they going to get answers to their questions? Because if they're not getting them on your website or through your online channels, chances are they're probably getting them from your competitors. So on the next slide, we're going to walk through a buyer's journey. So to further explain this point, I think that, having a buyer's journey, is anyone, I guess I can't really be too interactive here, but hopefully everyone has heard of a buyer's journey. I would go as far to say that a marketing plan without a buyer's journey at the foundation has a slim chance of really driving the results that you and your team are really aiming for. So I pulled this image from HubSpot, which is our agency's CRM platform of choice. It does marketing, sales, and customer service all within one platform. But I really like it because of its simplicity. So we'll go through this really quickly now and then dive a little bit more in-depthly. So the first stage is awareness. This is when a user is aware of their own personal pain point or problem. They move into the second stage, which is consideration. And this is where they become aware of possible solutions and they're doing as much research as possible. And then the final stage that they move into prior to becoming a customer is that decision stage, which is where they're likely comparing other solutions to each other. So the reason why I think it's important to understand this buyer's journey is because if you don't, or if you do, it enables you to create the content that applies to every single one of your prospects or buyers wherever they are in the sales cycle and put it at the right medium or at the right time that hits them when they need it. Because otherwise you're just kind of creating stuff, putting it up and hoping that it sticks, which we all know is not a sound strategy to go with. So with an integration between your CRM and ERP, such as HubSpot to NetSuite, your entire team, including your marketing team, who we're always rooting for, gets a much deeper understanding of your buyers' behaviors and trends, which then enables you to create more personalized customer experience. And I feel like if you're in any industry, it doesn't matter what, like personalization is a word that we continuously hear when it comes to customer experience. Like an example that comes to like top of my mind is if your sales team can see into your customer, like a customer's past purchases, they can anticipate that customer's need ahead of time and then offer the right product at the right time, which feels very personalized to them. So if you can get that from somewhere like at Amazon, which I'm sure recommends some products to you from time to time, why shouldn't your customers be able to get that with you? So I think that what's really important about what we're talking about today is like connecting your CRM and ERP is giving you the opportunity to do that, which equals higher customer satisfaction, repeat sales, and just higher customer retention and growth. We'll talk about how you can actually set up your marketing strategy to benefit from this integration.
I just had a quick note on this. Our experience, so the Vesta Group sells NetSuite software and implements NetSuite software, and our experience pre-pandemic and post-pandemic fits this, where by the time somebody contacts us or we can see that they're interested and we reach out to them, they're either at the point where they've said, yeah, NetSuite is the number one that I'm interested in, or there's fewer competitors than we saw in the past. So we may be going head to head with another ERP versus 3 or 4 or 5 ERPs. So this decision stage where they're provider aware, people are coming to us already knowing a lot about us and a lot about NetSuite, and have kind of very far down the decision path before talking to us.
It's like you're queuing me up for what I plan to talk about. All right. So using that buyer's journey, we're going to look a little bit more in depth and talk about what a buyer is doing at that time in each of these stages, and then what kind of marketing content and activities would fit there that you could use to create that full funnel marketing approach. So starting at awareness, and very similar to what Chris had reviewed in the first couple of slides, you can think of this stage as kind of like prospecting from in a sales perspective, like very top of funnel. So reminder, at this stage, the user is simply aware of his, her, their problem. They're not looking at potential solutions or providers. They're just trying to find more information that relates to their unique pain points. So at this point, they're looking for research, any resources they can get their hands on, like opinions, insights. They're ultimately just trying to find answers to what their unique pain point. So the key here for your business, which I've highlighted on all these slides with a little star emoji, is to ensure that you're showing up in search results when your prospect is searching for a pain point that relates to your solution. So if you can click here, Chris, an example of a search at this point in the buyer's journey might be like, how do I get stronger? I think this is really important to look at as who could be typing this. I could see my dad typing this, who is now a retiree from a job that kept him pretty much on his feet all the time. And maybe my mom's honey-do list is getting a little long and he's trying to figure out how to get it done, and it's not as easy as it used to be. But at the same time, I could see like my younger brother, who's a senior in college, also searching for this because he wants to like bulk up and like look good for his summer vacation or something. So I think that's important. It's 2 different people, 2 different personal pain points, probably with 2 different solutions, but it's a very similar Google search. So this is why a company at this stage, it's very important to make sure that you're providing the right context to that search, you're showing up, and you're letting them know that you're a potential solution. Okay, so what will we do for marketing activities here? So the best marketing activities to make sure that you're showing up for that said Google search, how do I get stronger at this point, would be blog posts, social media, white papers, ebooks and manuals, tools and kits. You could think of these like a checklist or a tip sheet, and then anything like a webinar or a video. Again, very top of funnel, but it gets you the opportunity to create an unbiased, accurate, and informative piece of content for your prospective buyers. And the goal here is like, if they find what they're looking at, I know maybe some of us have done research on something that's brand new to us and we're looking through like 1,000 different Google results, but you ultimately usually find like 2 or 3 that you're like, these people understand me. They know what I'm trying to get to. And those kind of become like your source of truth as you're like working your way through this new journey that you're on. And you want to try to create that content that comes to your buyer that way so that they can start associating you and your company as the experts and building trust.
Yeah, we do this for sure. So like we have white papers on how to lower your cost for implementing ERP, or how to negotiate the best price on your ERP license. And so as a part of that, people are, they're do our experiences, they're doing their research, because those are 2 main pain points is, how do I get the cost down? We use blog posts for that. We do a lot of social media posting, and so the things that you're talking about is exactly what we're doing and have had a lot of effectiveness with.
I feel like this is a good time, Chris, for looks like Madison asked, do you feel like knowledgeable buyers make sales conversations easier or harder? So in your, from where you're saying most of the people that are coming to you are already pretty much 80% of the way through, like what are those conversations? Are they easy or are they hard?
I think they're easier. It is to us. I mean, in ERP, we sell ERP, right? So that's a big complex system. And an uneducated ERP buyer is more likely to do nothing, because they perceive more risk. They're not as confident in what they're doing. They're not as confident in making a decision of NetSuite versus something else. So the likelihood that they go through an entire cycle and do nothing is much higher with an uneducated buyer. With people that have done the research, their confidence goes up. They perceive less risk. They know better questions to ask. They already know the resources that they're going to need to bear or bring as a part of the decision process. Our role then becomes fitting it into kind of a defined process so that people feel comfortable that there's an actual buying process for ERP that's been repeated over and over, and then other people have had success with. So they know enough to be able to ask good questions, and to feel confident about asking questions and confident about moving forward. So I would, my opinion is that our likelihood of spending a lot of sales efforts and then having a customer not make a decision has gone down because of people doing research. I think that's helped a lot.
Yeah, I would agree from just like us working with clients and what we've seen with our clients and their prospects is that if they're that engaged and they've already like looked at your website, they know the questions to ask, like chances are they're going to say yes. It's just whether it's you or someone else. Whereas like, all the time we get like, maybe I should just give it to some like marketing, someone else in my team can do marketing for me. Like they haven't really been sold on the idea of like a marketing agency, but that's a lot harder to sell than someone who's like, no, we need help, but like, tell me why you're better than this guy. So I feel like the same thing, educated definitely makes it easier.
Yeah, we get a lot more questions about differentiators. Like, why are you different from somebody else? And in the software sales business, this software sales it's kind of perceived as kind of smarmy, and that doesn't speak highly of myself, obviously, but our approach, because people are doing so much research, our approach is transparency. We're not perfect at it, but we really try to go out of our way to say, here's where NetSuite does really well, and here's the places it doesn't do as well. And so our approach, knowing that people are doing a lot of research and they're looking at competitors and doing research on them, is we're just like, look, we're not going to trick you. You're not going to fool you. We're just going to go with transparency. And that's been very positive for us. I talked about people feeling a lower risk because they're doing research. Well, when we come with a transparency first presentation and how we approach customers, well, that feels like it lowers risk again. So anyway, that's kind of knowing that people are doing research has kind of improved our approach to customers.
Very good. And Macy, I'll answer your question really quickly too. Is there a way of knowing what your audience is searching for on Google? Since we said the last slide, like it's really important to try to get on Google or whatever engine your users are searching on. And my first recommendation would be, like, yes, there is definitely a way to know. Two tools that come to mind, they're both Google. One is called Google Search Console, which is a free service. Anyone can just connect it to their website, and you can see on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, however often you care to look, exactly what people are searching and how they're getting to your page. So, for example, are people searching marketing agency and coming to Ready North, or are they searching our name and coming here? What are the questions that people are asking, and then they're finding our content? So that's a really good way to kind of tweak and see, like, are you putting the right information on your site to get the right types of users there? And then another tool I would recommend to everyone is just the Google search bar. It's a really easy way to figure out, like, what is your audience searching for? Like, how do I create a marketing plan between an ERP and CRM? Like, are people typing that? Start typing it into your search bar, and Google will start to like finish out the sentences for you. So like if you're doing along this same example we're using, how do I get stronger? Some of the suggested things are like potentially, what are the foods I should eat to get stronger? Or what are the best strength exercises to get stronger after age 60? Those are the types of questions that people are asking. So Google populates them. So that's a really good way to kind of figure out like what are those queries to start answering. So back up, we've got next stage is consideration. So we at this end, we know this is what we would refer to more as like you're kind of qualifying this person at this point. That's what they're doing in their buyer's journey. It's more like middle of the funnel. The user is considering solutions, but they're not yet ready to buy. But they've definitely like put a name to their problem. They're in heavy research mode, and they're just trying to figure out like what are all the options that I have available and which ones might actually be a very good fit for me. So an updated search for this one would be more like personal trainer or gym membership. We've gone beyond like we know we need to get stronger, but like these are some solutions that feel like they might be a fit. So you're educating like what are the pros and cons, what are the similarities and differences, like you just said, Chris, of each of these. And then the marketing content that we would recommend that makes the most sense at this stage to make sure that you really are educating the users is a comparison guide. And I think you hit on this, Chris, perfectly without necessarily knowing this was something I was going to really recommend. But this is an area where a lot of businesses like fear that they should address the competition. If we don't talk about them, then they don't exist, which is definitely not the case because anyone can find anything on the internet. So if you're not talking about it, like they're going to find it somewhere else. And it also, I think a part of that reason is because people get afraid that like we're going to turn away business if, we're talking about why you might go with a different solution or different provider. But I would encourage you to consider like maybe that's okay. Like if the person is looking for a gym membership and that's a better fit for them, but you're a personal trainer, like do you really want to go through all that time to like sell them on why you would be a better fit, have them join, end up like they don't start coming to your training sessions after a couple weeks or two, and you kind of wasted like a huge block of time with this person when really like a gym would have just been a better fit. So the more that you can give like those unbiased sources online and really just educate, it helps you kind of like qualify people out and qualify people in that would be a good fit for you.
You actually recommended a couple months ago a book called They Ask You Answer, and I actually read it. So once you recommended it, so they talked about comparison guides. We actually do this a little bit. We've got some specific industries that we play in where there's like one or two other major ERPs. And so we know what we do well and what we don't do well and what they do well and what they don't do well. And so we actually have put together side-by-side comparison guides. One of the things that we learned reading They Ask You Answer is that transparency. People are going to see through phoniness. They're going to see through. They're going to perceive you as just a salesperson. If everything you do is the most awesome and everything the other people do is terrible, they're going to see right through that. So, just being real actually creates better qualified, better fit customers for you. And in our experience is that that our sales process and that our implementation process, people are much happier about because they are already have qualified themselves through these comparison guides to say, well, I needed this. The things they do well are really important to me, and the things they don't do as well are not as important to me, and the other ones are not as good a fit. So they come to me better qualified and with better expectations. So we've had a lot of success doing this and just in having really good customer service and customer service measurements because of it.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to put it, like that transparency. If you can be the ones talking about like what we do well, what we don't do well, why this might be a better fit, chances are they're more likely to trust you. And even if you're maybe not like the best, you're like a 90% fit, like that's a question they can ask. How can we figure out what that 10% difference is that, maybe we can make it up this way, or we can suggest a different like creative solution another way. So I'm glad that you read that book. I love it so much. So that's definitely where some of this is coming from. It's true. All right. Case studies and free samples are the other two in that you should consider for consideration. Yep. But they're the exact same thing. Case studies, put someone in your shoes as to why, like, I could be reaping these benefits. I could see myself as enjoying this personal trainer. And then free samples, if they're applicable to your business, are always a good way to get people to test your product first. All right. So then the last part of the buyer's journey would be the decision stage. And this would be like, basically they've made it to the bottom of the funnel. They're at this point, they've made a list of their top options. They've got it narrowed down. They're making a final decision, and they're ready to just go spend some money. So they will likely go with the provider at this point that has made them feel like they can trust them and that they can meet their needs. And that's probably been built through a lot of that online research we've talked about, those comparison guides, and then maybe at this point also potentially talking with someone at on the sales team. So for your company at this phase, it's very important just to make it super easy for a user to figure out how to become a customer. So what I mean by that is, make sure your pricing's available online. Make sure you've got like an FAQs regarding your billing, your payment terms, any of those like frequently asked questions that come up in like the last part of the sales process. Make it so easy so then they can just do like click free trial, sign up to become a customer, talk to sales team, make it very easy for them. So an updated Google search here would probably look like Planet Fitness versus YMCA, or even maybe as far as like try Planet Fitness for free, or 1 day free trial at YMCA, something like that. So one more click and we'll see the sales and marketing methods that make sense here. Just like we said, free trials. So that's like, can you go into Planet Fitness for a day of free membership and check out the locker rooms? Live demos, if that's applicable to your business, are a really good way, or free trials, like I said. Consultation offers, in the personal trainer example, maybe this is like you give them a free 1-hour session and send them home with like a 2-week plan and see how they like it. And then lastly, coupons. Everybody loves coupons. So first 15 days free, no activation fee, 10% if you sign up for different payment terms, all of those good things. So that is the end of the buyer's journey. So you're probably thinking like, good examples, this is helpful, okay, but like I need to see the case study. Show me what it looks like in the final decision stage. So Chris, I'll pass it back over to you.
All right, thanks. And we sell ERP and we actually use coupons. We give away coupons. So big Oracle, big NetSuite provides coupons. So Ashley's done a fantastic job of describing, what's happened up until the point where we start to have personal contact with somebody. So that whole top of funnel piece, how we help people find out about us, how we help people do research, how we help them compare, that is all stuff we do. So the Vesta Group, as I mentioned, we sell NetSuite ERP and we implement it based in the Dallas area. So we sell software, we provide professional services. That means I've got consultants that we sell their time to go implement the software. We sell support and optimization. And then we also create point solutions. So small little pieces of code that ride into NetSuite and help add additional functionality. About 60% of our business, our incoming leads, are referrals. So somebody somewhere has suggested the Vesta Group to a company, and they start doing their research and they reach out to us. And then 40% is marketing leads, and that number is quite a bit bigger than it was even 2 or 3 years ago. So as we've built out our marketing group and understanding, they've done a fantastic job of adding new prospects, new leads for us. And that's become really important to us, because when we get referral leads, we don't really have control over the kind of lead I get. It could be any kind of company. It could be a medical clinic, a manufacturer, a distributor, an e-commerce only company. I don't have control over it. So that means I've got less control over the resources, the types of consulting hours that we would sell. So I need to be able to direct my marketing team to the people that as a result have a lower utilization. And that's one of the ways we keep our costs down or keep them effective, is making sure that we're fully utilized. In this marketing concept, having the full integration helps us do that. And ideally, hopefully, that led us to being NetSuite Partner of the Year this in 2022. So that was just named in October, and we're still super excited about that award, and will be for a long time. All right, so we've seen this process. We've got campaign marketing. We use HubSpot, so that's an important, very important part of our process. From there, as we read the digital body language of people online, what emails are they opening? What forms are they filling out? That becomes a marketing qualified lead. So at some point, all these suspects that are out there that are researching and finding things out, there's a few of them that have done a lot more research on us, and so that becomes a marketing qualified lead. We hand that to a business development resource who will pick up the phone and start calling or emailing, just to find out, make some direct contact and find out. So we do that in NetSuite. We could do that in HubSpot. HubSpot has a great CRM tool to be able to do that as well. So we sell NetSuite, so we're going to use NetSuite. Your ERP may have a CRM, it may not, but HubSpot does a great job of that as well. So at some point, our business development resources has said, talk to somebody, and they said, yeah, I'm really interested, and here's my timeline. And so they hand it to an account rep on our side, and then they go through a sales qualification process. So they go through that traditional sales qualification of budget, authority, need, timing, and figure out, is this a really strong lead, or is it something that's going to be off in the future and we just need to keep a good relationship? For that, as some people decide, yeah, they're really well qualified, well, they become an opportunity in our system, and we go through our sales process. So they've already done a lot of research. As got asked earlier, is it harder or easier? It's both. It's easier in that there's lower risk, but it's harder in that they ask harder questions. So our opportunity cycle is really geared towards getting people comfortable that we're a right fit and we're a match, and not just trying to sell whatever we have with them. That leads to a much better experience for our clients and for us. When people are happy, we're happy, and vice versa. When we're happy, they're happy. And it just creates a much better experience when it's a match and not just trying to sell them something. And then ideally, we get an order from that. So all that's on our side as a Vesta Group, as a case. The MQL, SQL opportunity order is all handled inside of NetSuite.
There's a couple questions, Chris, that I think might make sense as you're on that slide. I'm kind of curious, since we're doing a case study on you, it says at what point would a company know they need to invest in a CRM? And then kind of what are the HubSpot features that are important when you're considering an integration? So I'm curious if you could answer, if with NetSuite having that CRM built in, what was the reasoning for getting HubSpot on top of that and kind of meshing the two of them together, and the features that you said campaign marketing, but are there any other features that are specific to HubSpot?
Yeah, great. NetSuite? Great question. So NetSuite does marketing, and this is one of those areas of transparency that we make sure people know about. It's a good solid C. If I'm gonna give it a grade, it's a C. HubSpot is an A, and because marketing is so important to us and helping people do research, we needed an A. And so the things that it does extremely well is it manages our email campaigns, it manages our website and the touches that people have against our website. It manages our social media campaigns very well and the touches that people have related to that. So the management of all that is one important aspect. It's much easier to send email campaigns in a drag and drop format in HubSpot than it is in NetSuite. So our marketing effectiveness and our ability for our marketing team to be able to put together good campaigns, measure them, get really good KPIs, is way more effective in HubSpot than it is in NetSuite. And as I mentioned earlier, marketing has become really important to us because it helps us make sure that we utilize all those resources on the back end properly. And so we've invested quite a bit in it. to make sure in our resources to make sure that that we're getting the right content and information out there. Our CEO does a ton of interviews, and that's all tracked as a marketing campaign. So he's interviewed on the radio, he's interviewed on YouTube channels. We just if you go to our YouTube site, look at our YouTube channel, there's tons and tons. He talks about culture and remote work and all that kind of stuff a lot. Well, all that's tracked. So we know in the background, are people watching, how frequently, who's watching. If somebody's opened up an email from us, we can start to track. And one thing that HubSpot does extremely well that NetSuite doesn't do at all is a concept of lead scoring, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But it's basically scoring. I mentioned digital body language. It's a score that says, hey, this person's opened 3 emails and read them. They've filled out a form and they've shown some interest. And so all that adds up to a score, and that's how we understand are people really interested in us, and then we can reach out to them personally. That lead score converts to a marketing qualified lead. We import the data from HubSpot into NetSuite, and it becomes an entry as a marketing qualified lead in NetSuite. And then my business development resource can reach out from there and start to work.
The
That was a lot of words.
So, yeah, it was great. Great answer. That was 2 combined in 1.
Yeah. Was there another question, or was that the only one?
There's one more. If it makes sense now, it's top challenges you'd see when integrating an ERP and CRM. I don't know if you had any specifically that when you were adding HubSpot to NetSuite that were particular.
So HubSpot has an open API, and if we're going to get into technical challenge, HubSpot has an open API and NetSuite has an open API, so they talk together very well. We're a NetSuite developer, so it's easy for us to build an integration. It's for us, it's very low cost, and we do that for our clients as well. There are also third parties out there that have pre-built integrations between HubSpot and NetSuite. That for a small license amount, we install the integration and things roll smooth. Because really all you're integrating is at that point is you're integrating a contact. It's not a customer with an order. You don't have to have all the order information. I don't have to have inventory information or anything like that. It's really just contact information. And just the fact that I can know who it is and their rough level of interest and the kinds of things they're interested in, when I can know those things, then when I reach out to them and talk to them, my business development resource does, well, they're way more knowledgeable about already. Like, this is what you're researching, so I have a sense of your pain points, and they can ask better questions of the person that way. So it's just really contact information, which is a relatively easy integration.
Last question that came in, and then I swear we'll keep moving, but it relates. Is there ever an issue during integration with customer data not matching from one system to another? And maybe the answer is no, because you guys can custom write anything so that it works out. But with like the data between the 2 systems, is that ever an issue?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, because we'll have leads come in from HubSpot that are already our customers. Maybe they're researching something else about us. So, maybe it's somebody that we're implementing right now, and now they're investigating our optimization team to see, do I want to keep a long-term contract with the Vesta Group? So I've got to match those 2 contacts together. So we use, just standard integration methodology is to perform the integration as an insert or a match. So I'm looking to see, do I already have this contact before I insert a new record? And if I do have an error of some kind, we use an error trapping methodology to identify that to a person that's responsible for reviewing. So it'll basically create a log of what we think are errors. They'll go fix the error and then rerun the integration or wait for it to run overnight, and then it imports correctly. Okay, so we know that people, when they come in, they're pretty far along in their research because they're asking good questions. And a lot of times, we have former NetSuite users that move to a new company, and they're using their research as a way of proving out, and they need our help proving to their company that the NetSuite's going to be a good fit for them. So we provide a lot of information on email. We provide blogs that we know people are reading. And one interesting thing about that is, when they read blogs about a certain topic, well, in the background, if I can tell that's who that is, well, I can understand their pain points before they ever call me, or before I reach out to them. Uh, we we have a lot of people that look at our About Us page because we list every resource in the company, um, and a little bit about them. So they already know. Feel like they know us before they talk to us. Um, we have a lot of employee spotlights on YouTube where we've interviewed our employees uh, on what's their life like, what's implementation like, just questions like that. And so people are researching. Hey, that's a specific project manager that's been that I like or I know, or the salesperson or Chris mentioned them to me. They go look at our About Us page, and then they go look at the employee spotlight. That's a video about that person being interviewed. And so before they ever have a relationship with the project manager, they kind of feel like they know a little bit about them or quite a bit about them. And so that's just a way for us to build trust and help people do research and feel good about it. So, the employee spotlights have been super effective for us because we are just people. I mean, that's what we sell, right? Our our customer success, our customer happiness, all depends on people. And so, the more I can put out about them, the better people feel about working with them. We write a lot of white papers. We direct them straight to specific landing pages with a form to fill out to download the white paper. So I'm going to collect an email address and a contact name, so I can put that together as a part of reading digital body language. We put a lot of software demos out. We have some advisory discussions. Like an advisory discussions can be like, when's a good time to update your chart of accounts or something like that. Some requirement or pain point that people are dealing with. We'll talk about it, and so we can watch and understand, is that important to people? And we help them do their research. When people come to us, they're already in the awareness stage. They've already been doing a lot of research. That's different than 3 or 4 years, 5 years ago. Um, it's changed a lot in the last few years. Just people are doing way more online than they used to. So they're aware of us. They've already been digging on our website. They've already been opening emails from us. That may have already been clicking through social media. That may have seen Google ads with retargeting and that kind of thing. And so what HubSpot does for us really well is it tracks a single contact of how many emails did they open, how many places have they touched on my website, how long did they read it, are they looking at our social media and clicking through our social media to get some more information. And it's creating a score for every interaction that somebody has with us. And at some point, that score gets high enough that it becomes a marketing qualified lead. And so somebody has read our emails. We can see it. They've been all over our website, and that score kind of builds up. And so that to us, then we know that somebody's interested in the Vesta group. We roughly know their pain points that they're trying to solve, and we can start to reach out to them in a better format to figure out, is this a good match for the prospect and for us. But lead scoring, provided by HubSpot, is a huge part and is important for us because of that. And lead scoring is something we've played with over time. We can lower our leads to get more marketing qualified leads, our score, or we can raise it to get less marketing qualified leads. But here's why that's important. All right, so I mentioned earlier this process where I've got a campaign, a marketing qualified lead. So I'm on the left-hand side of the screen now. That becomes a sales qualified lead, an opportunity order. Well, we track the conversion percent from step to step. And I track it at a high level, and I track it at a detailed level, the type of product that we're going to sell or there's an interest. And so from step to step, the marketing team and the biz dev team, the account reps can know what the conversion rate is. They track that. And that means that at the end, I can say, I need 2 orders or 1.97 orders, which allows me to play with how many touches, marketing touches, do I need to send in order to generate those 2 orders, because I keep track of those percentages. If I didn't keep track of the percentages, I would have no idea. I wouldn't know where to direct my marketing resources. I wouldn't know how to take advantage of my underutilized resources, the pain points that people are looking at, that those underutilized resources solve. Um, so this math, and it's just simple math, uh, enables me to figure out how much does the marketing team need to focus on a specific area in order to generate the output that I want. So I mentioned we sell solutions. We have one called email multiple contacts. It's the most common one that we sell. We track conversion rates by at that level. So when somebody's had an interest in us, I already know all the steps that they went through because we know the buyer's journey. Um, and so I can understand how much effort do I need to put into a specific campaign in order to generate the output that I want. Same with net new ERP. And obviously it takes a lot more effort, a lot more touches to generate a single order. But we track by that level. So we know from step to step, and having this kind of simple math, just the fact that we're tracking it and having that simple math helps us direct our marketing resources much better. And what that allows us to do is run campaigns based on resource utilization. So, maybe my manufacturing resources are going to be underutilized in 4, 5, 6 months. Um, well, now I can start running marketing campaigns for manufacturing, and even more so, I can match that up with industries that are, specific industries like, I don't know, last year was pet food and pet toys and all that kind of stuff, and beauty. Beauty was actually down last year because everybody was home. But like pet toys was big, and pet supplies and pet food manufacturing was big. So we ran marketing campaigns because we knew we needed to utilize our manufacturing resources, and we had industries that were growing and were kind of outgrowing their current systems. And we knew how much to direct to those industries. This is an important part of our cycle, an important part of our business.
In regards to an integration challenge, if you're using HubSpot, say HubSpot's full stack, so you're using them all the way until you get your customer or that prospect to like a closed one, and then you start pushing them to NetSuite. Can you think of any other potential integration challenges if that's the handoff point between the two?
It's a bigger integration, obviously, because what I'm integrating at that point is, it's not just the contact, it's the item numbers. I would have to have it on both sides. I'd have to have what are they buying on the HubSpot side, and what am I selling on the NetSuite side? So that's an additional integration. I would have to have terms. So I would have to have more enriched data about the customer, like terms and even at some point like banking information. And I'm kind of thinking through the customer record as I go. There's probably more than one contact that's related to this, and we're going to need to know like a payable contact in addition to the buyer contact, and maybe a CEO contact or something like that. So the breadth of contacts increases, and then there's a role with the contact that we would want to know about. Where do we send the bills? What's the term on the bill? What's the so all that kind of stuff. Depending on how much you have in HubSpot and how much you want to bring into ERP, it just kind of grows. And the bigger the integration, obviously the more risk there is. So what that means then is that I've got to do a better job of bulletproofing the integration, and I've got to do a better job of error trapping and making sure that I've got a wider variety and types of errors that I'm checking for, and that somebody's notified whenever those errors occur, so that we can rerun the integration to make sure that that things are going to go through correctly.
I would imagine that, data, with there being that much data that needs to move between the two systems, making sure everyone's on the exact same page with how that data is formatted, your fields in HubSpot and within NetSuite would have to be bulletproof, like you said, matched together, or else you're just going to be duplicating and rewriting over.
Yeah, there's a normalization process that happens between HubSpot and NetSuite. And so HubSpot stores data a little bit differently than NetSuite. So I've got to take the name of a contact or the format of a contact, and I've got to normalize it or change it to fit what NetSuite's looking for. And then vice versa, I've got to normalize it back from NetSuite to HubSpot in case the AP contact changes on the ERP side, and HubSpot needs to know. So that normalization process takes more effort. And when I change the kind of data that I'm moving back and forth, it's not just a name or an email address or a phone number. Well, now it's an inventory item, or it's a term or something like that. Well, then my normalization rules proliferate. And so that becomes more complex. So It's just a more complex integration. It's absolutely doable. We do integrations with every implementation to something. So it's absolutely doable. It's just a bigger integration.
That was for Eric. Thank you.
Yeah. So working with marketing. So because I know specific areas that we want to address, it's manufacturing or it's e-commerce or something like that. Because I know customers are doing the research, I can point marketing in the right direction, and I can give them more detailed guidance about the specific pain points that those resources address. So it could be a person, it could be a manufacturing resource or something like that. But there's pain points that those resources address, and I can provide better content, which is going to help me convert much better. So the more and better content, more detailed niche content I can provide to my marketing team that I can help at least point them in the right direction, the better job they're going to do in converting, because they're going to have better messaging and to a more niche audience. It allows me to focus my advertising dollars better, because maybe Google ads convert better than social media ads. So I know where to focus advertising better based on what I'm trying to sell. So there's a lot of benefit in having the entire thing connected, because not only does it make my order on the back end more effective, a better match, it makes my ability to work with marketing to generate more orders and a better fit of orders. It improves my ability to do that. You're getting close. So benefits, we mentioned decision ready customers. We provide a lot of ways for people to do research on us, even down to what are the people like, with online videos about our employees. So what are the people like? So we provide a lot of research opportunities for customers, and by the time they get to us, they are close. We have to answer a lot of questions. We have to go through demos, and there's still a full cycle to answer all the questions. But a lot of the basic things, they've already checked the box, and people are already primed to be interested in NetSuite and feel better about our product because they've done the research and been able to do the research. It allows us to control our orders better, direct our marketing team in order to enable more control of orders. It increases our resource utilization. Obviously, I've talked about that. Because I can have an impact on the types of orders. Remember, 40% of our leads are from marketing and 60% aren't. So I don't have as much control over the 60, which makes that 40 way more important. That allows me to direct control over marketing and provide guidance to them better based on utilization. And of course, for us, that leads to better margins. So we are at the end.
And we've also put our emails there too. So if it's a more particular question or something you need to reach out about, feel free to grab those as well. Madison asked, how long does a typical ERP-CRM integration like this take?
For just the contact, it's usually like a couple of weeks, a few weeks. It's an easy one. For a broader integration, it's going to take a month maybe, and that depends on the type of resource that gets applied to it and how much effort our client does versus how much effort we're doing. Where are we kind of meeting in that process?
Other than that, thank you for your time. That was amazing. Thank you both so much. So just singing our praises.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. We've reached the top of the hour. Feel free to reach out to either Ashley or myself with any questions, and we're happy to answer.